Did you know that Demon Slayer lied to you about Tanjiro? When Tanjiro's blade first turned black, Sakonji and Haganezuka were shocked and a little scared because according to ancient lore, Demon Slayers with black blades died early and struggled with learning breathing styles. Tanjiro was freaked out by this, but the truth is that Demon Slayers with black blades are actually the most talented swordsmen in the world. It only seems like they lack skill because they have trouble learning a normal breathing style, and the reason they have trouble with it is because they're supposed to learn the most powerful breathing style called sun breathing. Now this is just one of the many Tanjiro facts I discovered, and we're just getting started because each fact I share is just a little bit more interesting than the last. And next, let's talk about why Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark is actually going to kill him. See, everybody believes that once you unlock a Demon Slayer mark, you become a lot more powerful, but you're also going to die before the age of 25. This is commonly called the curse of the Demon Slayer mark, but after tons of research, I realized that everybody was wrong. It's not really a curse. See, the marks allow Demon Slayers to use more power, but at the expense of their own health. So if a Demon Slayer uses the mark too many times, they'll cause their body to quickly deteriorate and pass away early. Dang, that's just crazy. But not as crazy as our next point, cause did you know that Tanjiro's sword secretly appeared in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga? In one of the latest chapters of JJK, a bad guy is running around the city looking for a katana. He breaks into a child's room and sees a box of toys, and inside that box is a toy version of Tanjiro's katana. The dope part is that when you press a button on the sword, Tanjiro's voice says, "First form, water surface splash." That's so cool. But listen, Tanjiro isn't just good at fighting because he's the main character. He's actually a secret fighting prodigy. See, Tanjiro became a better swordsman than Sabito in just 6 months. And Sabito was definitely not a weak Demon Slayer. He trained side by side with the Water Hashira Gyu and actually saved Gyu's life a couple times. But Tanjiro is even more talented than that because he's the only Demon Slayer alive that can use 2 different breathing styles, water and sun breathing. So where do Tanjiro's secret fighting skills come from? Well, if you trace his lineage, you'll find that one of Tanjiro's ancestors was given the secret of sun breathing by Yorichi, the original sun breather. And that's pretty cool, but I was even more excited after discovering Tanjiro's top secret fighting moves. See, there's a Demon Slayer video game that came out in 2021, and in it, Tanjiro has 3 unique skill moves that have never been shown in the anime. The first 2 moves look pretty boring, but the third one is insane. It's called Phoenix Flash and looks like this. But something that's even more secret than those killer moves is the meaning of Tanjiro's name. If you look at his name in Japanese kanji, the Tan means charcoal, the Ji means heel, and the Ro translates to sun. The charcoal in his name just stands for what Tanjiro's job was before he became a Demon Slayer. He used to turn wood into charcoal and then sell it to local villages. But what does heel or Ji in his name stand for? It's never been confirmed, but I think it symbolizes the journey he's on to try and heal his sister. He is trying to turn her back into a human after all. But have you ever wondered how Tanjiro would train to become stronger if he was in the real world? Well, he'd probably use Tower of Fantasy, a free-to-play MMORPG that works on both his phone and PC. And if you wanted to train with Zenitsu and Inosuke, this game would be perfect because it has a dope multiplayer mode where they could fight bosses, discover the world, and enjoy cool transportation together. The map on this game kind of reminds me of Demon Slayer because of how beautiful and bright it is. You can fly in vehicles, swim in water, and much more. And the best thing is that you can completely customize your character. My original character was this girl, so I completely changed her to look more like Tanjiro's future girlfriend using all the custom switches in the game. But I have to mention Lyn in Tower of Fantasy's new 2.1 update. She's the character everybody's been waiting for since the game's been released. Players call her Mommy Lyn, and I think I know why. She has cool combat skills, this deadly fan that she uses for attacks, and is even able to take on monsters like this dragon. I'm excited to play her in Confounding Abyss, an underground world full of dangers and secrets. The art style and immersive music gives me a dark fantasy vibe, which makes the game even cooler. And the map even comes with a dangerous new boss called Abyssant Hara. I can't wait to see Lyn fight her and discover the boss's secret backstory. Mommy Lyn is waiting for you in Tower of Fantasy, so use my code VeraStrong to get special rewards. And listen, it sucks that Nezuko is a demon, but one thing she doesn't have to worry about is people saying her name right, because Inosuke over here has literally never correctly said Tanjiro's name. So far in the anime, Inosuke is called Tanjiro, Gonpachiro Kamaboko, Gengaro Shakuriki, and 8 other pronunciations of his name. You also can't forget the time Tanjiro was a raccoon named Tanjiro in a dream that Inosuke had. Man, Inosuke really sucks at names. And I'm surprised that Tanjiro isn't more annoyed because I'd be insulted if one of my best friends forgot my name. It's not even half as bad as what Gyu does to Tanjiro on the daily. See, Tanjiro has to travel a lot to slay demons, and because the iPhone 14 Mini Pro Max is an out yet. He has to settle for a much slower way of communicating. He sent letters to his water Hashira master, Kyodro's little brother, Tatangan, but Gyu is the only person who's never responded to any letters. I get that Gyu's a man of few words, but he should at least have the courtesy to respond to a letter, right? But maybe Gyu never responds to the letters because he hates how stinky Tanjiro is. See, the official fanbook of Demon Slayer revealed that Tanjiro barely ever takes off his earrings. They've been handed down from father to son all the way from the original Demon Slayer, Yoriichi. Because of this, Tanjiro has the oldest, nastiest earrings in the world and only takes them off when they start itching too much. Gross. But we gotta talk about sad backstories because there's a running joke that every single demon in Demon Slayer has one. And Tanjiro always starts crying when the defeated demon shares their story. But why is he so empathetic? It's not just an annoying character flaw. The reason he cares so much about demons is because Nezuko is one. He understands that demons aren't necessarily horrible people, and Nezuko is living proof of that. Tanjiro's empathy might be annoying to you and me, but there's one good thing that comes out of it. Pretty much every eligible young lady in the show has fallen in love with him. And he's actually kind of a playboy because while Tanjiro ends up marrying Kanao, a couple other girls were interested in him too. Aoi loved Tanjiro, but when she noticed that Kanao was head over heels, she changed things up and went after Inosuke instead. I wonder what Inosuke would say if he realized he got Tanjiro's dirty leftovers. And to be honest, he'd probably get extremely angry. But Inosuke's anger would only be 1% of the anger that Tanjiro felt when he first met Muzan. See, this scene is special because it's the first time we get to see Tanjiro's full anger. You gotta remember that his entire family was killed by the Demon King, and Nezuko was turned into a demon by him. Even worse, it's technically Muzan's fault every time that a demon kills one of Tanjiro's friends. And this is a good reminder that Tanjiro wants to turn his sister back into a human, but he also wants to avenge his family and friends. Let's switch things up. Did you know that a ton of Japanese parents hate Tanjiro's guts? I'm betting you didn't, but Tanjiro is so popular with Japanese kids that parents are starting to get scared. You see, the results of a 2020 study showed that Japanese kids admire Tanjiro the most, even more than their parents. If my kids said they looked up to an anime character more than me, I'd take away their iPad until they got married, because that's just wild. But what's even more wild is Tanjiro's sense of smell. Before you say,
"Oh, IMOTO, I already know all about his nose."
I guarantee you only know 1% of the insane things his nose can do. First, Tanjiro's sense of smell is so good that he was able to recognize Muzan's scent 2 years after his family was killed. But it gets even crazier because Tanjiro's sense of smell is so great, he can sense people's true intentions. That's right, he can smell your emotions. In fact, he was able to sense Shinobu's hatred of demons even when she was trying to hide it. But the most insane thing that his nose can smell is the future. I'm not going to spoil it, but in the Swordsmith arc, Tanjiro trains so hard that he brings his nose to a whole new level. Tanjiro's nose is also his biggest weakness because if he gets a stuffy nose, he wouldn't be able to smell your intentions or the future. But Tanjiro has another weakness, and it's hilarious. He can't keep a straight face while lying. I mean, look at his face. If he tried to lie to me, I would know in an instant. And listen, that's sad and all, but it's nothing compared to how angry Tanjiro made this guy feel. See, Haganazuka has no life, no wife, no girlfriend. The only thing he loves in the world is the swords he makes for demon slayers. So when Tanjiro broke not 1, not 2, but 3 of his swords, Haganazuka was ready to end Tanjiro's life. But I think everything worked out because the 4th sword that Tanjiro gets is like 9,000 times more powerful than his previous 2 swords combined. See, it's made by combining the hilt from Rengoku's old sword and the blade from his ancestor Yoriichi's sword. I bet Haganazuka loved working on that sword because those 2 pieces fused to make one of the strongest swords out there. And listen, Tanjiro gets into some crazy fights with that sword, but let's remember that he wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for this character. Yeah, that's right, you don't remember this dude, even though he's the whole reason Tanjiro became a demon slayer. See, way back in the very first episode, Tanjiro traveled down to the village to sell charcoal to the villagers. It took him a while to sell everything he had, so by the time he was done, it was already getting dark out. Now, Tanjiro wanted to go back up the mountain to join his family, but this man, Mr. Saburo, warned him not to. Saburo's family had been killed by demons during the night, so he invited Tanjiro to sleep over. Tanjiro nearly declined, but after a bit of convincing, he accepted Saburo's offer. The crazy part here is that if Mr. Saburo hadn't convinced convinced Tanjiro to stay in the village overnight, Tanjiro would have joined his family just in time for Muzan's dinner. Then, the only surviving person would have been Nezuko, but she would have died shortly after because Gyu would have found her and ended her. And that fight between Gyu and Nezuko would probably be so graphic that it would need to be censored. Kind of like this video where we share the most ridiculous censorship moments in One Piece history. Click it!